Hi, welcome back to Faith and Conviction, and I'm your host, Ray Harris. And again, we are continuing our examination of Bibles. Just really a small overview of the many Bibles which are available. And I want to start with today, the one that I ended on our last segment, is the Bible that I use primarily for my own personal study. I'm not really saddled to the King James. It just happens to be the printed Bible that I'm most familiar with, so I use it. But I want to point out of these 5 Bibles that sit here that all of these are Protestant Bibles of the modern Protestant movement, in that we don't have any of the Apocrypha here today. And all of these are ones that are arguably considered good translations and accurate translations, give or take some theological arguments, which we're not addressing at all today. But we want to talk about why these things end up having issues, and that's why we go back to the Torah, which with its Hebrew, and then the New Testament with its Greek. So here's my King James translation, and this is the New American Standard Bible. It has matured out of the American Standard Version that was first released back in 1901. This is considered probably the most literal and most difficult to read, but a very studious edition of the Scriptures. And many people choose this because of its accuracy to the faithfulness of the original languages, but it has its own difficulties in reading. It just does not work as a very easy reader for reading. Now this one here is a first edition, and you can find these guys at Bible.org. This is the Net Bible. This is an open source Bible translation. What's powerful about this is that they provide translation notes. Why they chose to do what they did from the original languages into the English. So you get to see into the minds of the translators, if you will. And there are a lot of people who get to participate with this translation and this work. So it has almost 61,000 notes. So if you're really interested in why something's done the way it's done, you might like this Bible. So this is the printed edition, but you can find it online as well. Now this here is another one that I have. This is my personal copy here that I've used quite a bit. This is today's New International Version. This is not the same thing as the NIV, but it is a companion, but a different translation. This changes a little bit of the English language. It gets away from some of the things like gender-specific terms, where something like the word man, M-A-N, it might reference a male person, or it might reference humanity. When it references a male person, they seem to be fairly specific with the male. If it references humanity in general, they use the words like people or persons or humanity or something like that. So this has been kind of nice. But again, like I said, I'm not discussing any of the theology that goes into the translations, just the variety that's available. But I want to include one more, and this one is the copy of the TNIV Bible, its translation, but it's called the Books of the Bible. Now what's interesting about this is it's, if I remember correctly, which I probably better verify, it's International Bible Society publication. They take the books of the Bible and they change the order just a little bit. It's the same Protestant canon, the same 66 books, but in a slightly different order. Now the reason why I mention these things today is the argument exists, which Bible translation is most accurate? Well, we have 4 translations up here today. The King James, the modern King James. We have the New American Standard. We have the Net Bible. And we have today's New International. All of these represent efforts by people to try and represent God's Word faithfully into the English language. And depending on who you talk with, you're going to get a huge argument. People have their preferences. I have them all. Call me crazy. I just like to have as many versions of an English Bible as I can in order to learn the languages, why people translate the way they do, and also the big issue which we haven't translated is the theology of the translators. These things are important. They do help us. and they are somewhat difficult and cause confusion and controversy in Christendom. And we're not even really talking about the Catholic Bible at all. And we're not even having addressed the Orthodox Bible of the Eastern Church. We're just talking about the Protestant Bible. So, want to close out with these things today, leave you with this. We are going to continue this investigation, I guess, if you want to call it that, of the different Bibles that are available. So in the meantime, I encourage you to continue to seek God, know Messiah, find hope.